Welcome to the Wally Show Aftercast. Those things we did not get to during the course of the show today. Yesterday was an exercise in patience. It's like that thing from Evan Almighty. When you pray for patience, does the Lord give you patience or the opportunity to be patient? That was my afternoon trying to track down my bags from American Airlines.
And I heard the story already, but I do want to preface it by saying I don't really know if the call was needed.
What do you mean?
Like you going and calling and waiting and getting perturbed by it, because it sounds like nothing was helped by it. If anything, you were hindered by it.
I don't know that for a fact.
Because
you're saying
you got a text
right
this morning or something saying, "Hey, your bags are at so and so,
right.
Come to so and so." It seems like you would eventually gotten the result you wanted without having to wait 2 to 5 hours.
But I don't know that. That's the thing. Like, here's the thing. Whenever
you had a bit of anxiety
when you're working with big companies, it's so easy for things to get lost in the cracks. And the reality is if one company or one person doesn't do their job, then it sets off this big chain of things. And I realize getting your bags, like coming home from a trip and having your bags not be home, is not the worst thing in the world. It's tough when you're going. I've lost bags on my way to trips, and that's way worse than this. But I think that what was happening was I knew I was coming in from a small regional airline in Kilimanjaro, which was not like you're not working with the A team. And so they're the reasons the bags didn't even get put on in the first place. And so that's problem one. And then you've got another airline and then a third airline. So you've got 3 airlines that are having to talk together. And there's a whole reason they have buildings where you can go buy people's lost bags because people didn't figure it out. And so my stuff was all sitting and nothing. I'd watched it sit for 2 days and no movement.
You had air tags in them.
Yes, and that's really smart because then you have some information and power. And you might not know this, but like American, they were like, oh, okay, you can put in the thing and share your air tag with us, and that will help us find it. It's like, yeah, I'm great. I'm doing your job, but fine. And so we did that with Marty's. For some reason, my phone would not give me the option to share my air tag. But Marty's was able to be shared, and that's when things started moving. And when I called the guy, because he's like, well, you're going to have to call Air Kenya because they have the bags. I said, no. They won't. They told me I had to talk to you, and they aren't going to move for me. You guys have systems that talk to each other. Like, because he goes, I can do a request. I'm like, yeah, do that. Do the request thing. Like request the bags from them to go through security and request them to be sent to you. Because if you don't do that, they're not going to do it for me. They're not going to do anything for me. They don't care about me. But you work with these people all the time. That needs to happen. So he was like, okay, and I hear a lot of typing and clicking and typing and clicking. And so he did that, and that's when the ball started to move, because other than that, everything was just sitting there. And then it started to move for other people in our group, too. And so I'm hoping that it had something to do, because I had roughly about 2 hours on the phone with people, like, and getting hung up on and just being sent to the wrong departments. And then the guy that was helping me, I thought, oh, he did me a solid. He's like, I'm going to give you a number to Central Baggage Claim. It sounded very official. I'm like, oh, Central Baggage Claim. That sounds exciting.
Sign me up.
I want to go. And so I get there and I call. He goes, call it back in 2 hours and see how I've done. So I call a Central Baggage Claim and they go, if you know your party's extension, dial it now. The only way, you can't hit 0, you can't ask a request, you have to have an extension number to talk to somebody. I just start hitting random numbers. Don't hit anybody. I call it multiple times. Don't hit anybody. So I finally go on Reddit to see if anyone else has had this problem, and somebody gave an extension number for a person that they had talked to. And so I did that one, and I left a message. They never called me back, obviously. And so all of that to say, yeah, things started to move, and I'm told that my bags are coming here today. But to your point, Betty, would that have just naturally happened by today? And the answer is I don't know. I like to think that it would not have. I want to take some credit for this, for our whole group, in getting people their bags. But because I was like, it would have been really frustrating for me to not be doing anything. And then they go, oh, we can't find your bags. Like, they're at Terminal 4. I've got air tags. Oh, yeah, we can't find them. We can't get them. And then my bags end up It's like for you, Gavin, it's like you hit a great drive and it goes in the middle of the fairway and you can't find your ball. It's so frustrating. Yeah. They're like, why is it not here? And so I would have lost my mind. But then the whole time I'm doing this, my wife decides to help. And my wife can't talk right now. She lost her voice. And so she's writing me notes. I don't read. I'm trying to deal with something. And then she's like writing notes and then tapping the pen like look at my note. Look at my note. I'm like, that's not helping right now. Look at my note. And and she's like, what about compensation? What about compensation? I'm like, I'm just trying to get the bags here. Like, I'm the least of my problems is compensation right now. That's the least conversation I want to have. I just want to know that this guy knows where my bags are, is going to type something in that's going to get them sent here. It was kind of like when you're a kid and your girlfriend gets you into a fight with another dude. Like, she's like, well, my boyfriend can beat you up. No, he cannot. No, stop, lady. And, like, she kept writing notes. I'm like, you got to stop. I'm trying to work on it because otherwise I would have said, would you like to handle it? Like, would you like to do this? But she couldn't talk, and so that wasn't going to work. Because I've gotten definitely more proactive in my life where if there's things that my wife is like, I think you should do it like this, I just go, okay, why don't you do it then? And I'm not even mad, but you seem to have a better way of doing this.
Does she get mad?
Go for it, yeah. And then, like, I did that one night because we had been driving to Bible study, and she did not like the way I was driving. So when I kind of stewed on it all through Bible, small group, and we go to leave, and I just hand her the keys. She's like, what are you doing? I said, you're driving. Like you don't like the way I'm driving today, so I would rather you drive. I think it's better for both of us. No, we don't need to do that. I said, yes, we do. Yep, you're driving. So I made her drive home.
And she was mad about it?
She wasn't thrilled. No, wasn't thrilled. But I'm like.
Did she stop complaining?
You want to play these games? I can play this game too.
Did she stop complaining?
She did, actually. Yeah. Hasn't done much of it since. So sometimes you got to treat them like children. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Betty's face was so great on that. Oh, man. Lady Rock, what do you got for Aftercast today?
Aftercast.
No, please do not. I'm scared of her.
News on Gene Hackman. If you didn't know, Gene Hackman is a well-known actor, and recently he passed away. He was 95, so he had a good long run.
He was a guy that I would never be like, I have to go see a Gene Hackman movie. Mm-hmm. But every time he was in it, I'm like, man, this guy's good.
Yeah. He made it to 95, and he has his wife, Betsy, she was 65, okay?
Oh, she was 30 years younger than him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyways, the police, authorities, whatever, they found Gene and his wife both dead inside their home. And under an odd situation.
Because I heard about this while I was traveling, and my first thought was it was him, his wife, and the dog. I heard the dog was dead too, and so my first thought is carbon monoxide. It has to be. But you have more information today that there's coming out?
Well, let me tell you first, like, what the situation was that made Wally think it could be carbon monoxide.
Yes.
So both of them are found deceased in their homes, in the home. He is downstairs in the mud room, and she is upstairs, I believe, in the bathroom, and there's an open thing of medication all spilled all around her. Beside her is one of their dogs, and that dog is also deceased. Whoa. Authorities are called to the home because neighbors haven't seen Gene and his wife in a while. When they get to the home, they realize that the front door is kind of open. It's not closed.
Oh.
And they have one dog that's running loose in their yard and another dog that's running loose inside the home. So they find Gene, they find his wife, and of course, that's where people are like, it's got to be carbon monoxide. But it turns out, while it does seem a little fishy, it's not carbon monoxide. That they tested it, it's not that. They did say that they found that Gene Hackman had a pacemaker, and they're able to take that pacemaker and look at the recording of it. And I guess they found out that his last day of life was more than a week before he was found.
Oh.
So that means he had been sitting there for a while.
Oh, wow.
Deceased. But police say that they are pretty sure there's no foul play. But they're not ruling it out.
That's what you're looking for, is pretty sure.
Yeah, pretty sure.
In situations like this.
They did find mummification on both Gene and his wife.
After just a week?
Well, that's what they're saying. That's a little fishy. It's a little odd. So it means that the
skin and stuff?
Yeah, it stopped
decomposing.
It stopped decomposing.
Yeah, soft tissue being
and
preserved.
so people have said, well, you can sometimes see that it typically takes longer,
Yeah.
but it is a little odd, but it was found in their extremities, so I guess their fingers
Fingertips.
and their toes
That
and
makes more
stuff.
sense.
But typically you see that in a situation where someone is frozen.
Yeah.
Or they did say that they have seen it in dry places, and Gene and his wife were living in New Mexico at the time. So I guess it is possible.
Weird.
But they don't have a timeline, and that makes the job of the police difficult, because Gene and his wife did not have any kind of security cameras on the outside of the home nor on the inside of the home. So they are trying to get a hold of the phones of both of them to kind of create a timeline from that. But who knows? They're going to try and analyze the phone. Now, all that to say, Dr. Michael Baden, he is a world-famous forensic pathologist. So he's been doing this for a while.
Betty wants to do one of these podcasts, like
sure.
a crime podcast.
And he has a theory on what happened to Gene and his wife. So he believes that Gene Hackman suffered cardiac arrest down in the mudroom. He falls, and his wife, Betsy, sees the whole thing, and she's freaks out, runs upstairs to get his heart medication.
Okay.
And when she does that, either she falls or she has a cardiac arrest herself. Okay. Now, they did say she was in good health, but she's 65.
Yeah.
I don't know. Now, to explain.
How do you explain the dog?
Explain the dog. I did further research into that. They didn't tell you this, but the dog was in a kennel. There was one dog that was in a kennel in that bathroom that Betsy was in. And because it was in a kennel and it didn't have access to food or water
that's even
for
worse.
like 9 days, they believe that the dog died from dehydration.
That just got super sad and horrible.
I know. Isn't that terrible?
This is how we're messed up as a society. We're talking about Gene Hackman being dead, his wife being dead, and then I'm like, oh, that dog, that's horrible. Because he didn't have control. I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
It's a little animal that doesn't have control over its circumstances.
Right. Whereas human beings, I guess you see that as having control. They could have put that medication somewhere. He could have been carrying it.
Right.
With it. I know my grandpa, he had a heart attack in his 40s, and so he always carried his medication with him. So you would think, well, they have a little bit of control, but a dog doesn't.
Right.
And so I get what you're saying. But all that to say, they still don't know, still no permanent results. But that's the hypothesis of this forensic pathologist.
That's crazy. I'd love to know what you would call your crime podcast. Curious what a good name would be. The Rock stops here. You smell what the Rock is sleuthing.
Oh, from Dwayne Johnson.
I like that. You smell what the Rock is sleuthing. I like that.
Oh, man. Do you have any birthdays? It feels like we haven't done that.
Yeah, let's go to birthdays.
Let's go. I hope it's like a 5-year-old. That'd be fun.
Kimberly, she celebrated a birthday on the 1st. So happy belated birthday, Kimberly. She said, I'm a zookeeper.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
She's an aunt to the 3 best nieces in the world, a lover of breakfast food, and I've listened to the Wally Show since 2014. Love you guys.
Nice. That's awesome.
Her question is a would you rather question.
Okay.
Would you rather be forced to sing along or dance to every single song you heard?
Oh,
Sing.
Sing along, yeah.
Yeah.
I always
Really?
think I could
Yeah.
dance, but I can't. There's no way.
I think that, my bad singing is better than my bad dancing.
Yeah, I hit more good notes than I do good steps.
Well, and
Dancing's
2,
hard.
Well, and 2, that means that you would be in a grocery store, hearing the music playing over the loudspeaker. You would have to be you'd have to sing with it instead of dance down.
Yeah, because
See that?
dancing is way worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just drawing attention. If you're singing along, someone would be like, oh, like,
Yeah,
they're just having a good time. Unless it's got bad words in it.
I'm already thinking about like the daddy-daughter dance for my
Oh, man, you're not far away from that.
I know, I'm 100 days out.
Do you guys have a song yet?
No, we haven't even talked about it yet. So
What if she doesn't do one?
I know, I would break my heart.
She's
but
like,
then
I
I'm
want
like,
to do a mother-daughter dance.
I know, that would kill me. But then I'm like, are we going to do like a fun thing where it starts off really slow with butterfly kisses or something, and then we do like a TikTok dance? That would be fun. I'd be up for it, but I would do it badly. But she did say something. I was talking to her yesterday, and she's like, oh, I was talking about the sermon. I'm doing my niece's wedding. I'm presiding over that, and I've got things I still need to write for it. And I said, but I don't have to write anything for yours. And she's like, your speech. I'm like, oh, you want me to do a speech? Yes and yes. So
But can you make it through a speech?
I will not.
Yeah, no, tears flow.
Oh, yeah, I will not. I was, you probably saw it. Betty Brock probably saw it. I think they sent it to you. When we were in Africa, they asked me to do a daily devotion. And so for the staff of workers there, and I started doing it. I got choked up so many times doing it.
Really?
I was
What
so
were you doing it
emotional. It was just a story that I had heard in church. It was a great story, but it was about being faithful to the call of God, even when it seems crazy. And there's just something about being over there, dude. Like when you go next year, hopefully, you feel your faith so much differently there. And I'm looking in the faces of these people that they are the hands and feet of Jesus. And I got overwhelmed, and I kept trying to get through it, and I kept like getting choked up bad. And Jake, who was on the trip with us, like, yeah, I've sent this to Amber and asked her to do an edit of it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure Betty would love that too. But I haven't seen it. I don't think anybody did it yet. So
They haven't. They hadn't send that to me, but I'll see
You'll have to
Amber
show
today,
me.
and I can.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that. That sounds fun.
Because I was like, Betty.
Was it as bad as the Three Trees story?
Yeah, it was Three Trees-esque. Yeah. And so I'm like, Betty could have fun with this and be like, I can't take him anywhere.
Imagine, if you will,
Yeah.
reading the tale of Three Trees
At her
to
wedding?
some African kids.
Oh, yeah.
It's a
Be
great
interesting.
story, though.
Yeah, it is. It's great.
But how would you really could you really get through
You
it?
destroy me now.
Yeah, you can talk about your faith here, and you're like, and that's it for Monday school.
Yeah, done. Yeah, but there, I don't know, man. I can't explain it, man. I cannot explain it.
It's just faith. It feels like it's more of a business, and we do work
Right.
in a Christian radio station. So in a weird way, faith is business.
Yeah.
When we're here,
And I hate that. Like, that's the one part of this that I
it's
don't
part
like.
of life.
Yeah. Or when you're telling some stories, like say you're doing stuff like in Support Drive, you always walk that edge of, I don't ever want to feel like I'm manipulating anyone through a story. And so I take great care to not do that. But there's just something about being in a place where you're more reliant on God, and you're talking with him more than you do here because of the busyness of our lives. And that's our own fault.
Yeah, well,
that's my
here,
fault.
We have busyness. We have Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
We've got. You said it yesterday. It's just like a million things to distract you from just being like still. And, talking to him.
And that's kind of how it was for me. It's like you're walking around and you just find yourself grateful for little things, and you find yourself talking to God more throughout the day about just nothing and everything, at the same time. It's just completely different. So then it's like, okay, well, the challenge is, well, how do you do that here, and why is it different? And so that was kind of like the whole point behind that Wally's Faith Here and There article that I had written. So anyway, if you want to check that out, you can text the word travel to 91979 and we'll send you a link, and you can see. My mom said it was good, so. My mom is the best.
Approved.
I love that I'm 56 years old. I'll be 57 this year.
Wow.
And my mom is still like this great encourager and tells me that she likes segments that we do.
Yeah, but I think
that.
you're gonna be with Haley 30 years from now.
Oh yeah,
you'll be the same.
yeah. She's my favorite little person on the planet.
If you're alive in 30 years.
what would I be?
87.
Oh yeah, no. Hopefully not.
I don't want to make it to.
Wally.
What? I don't want to be that old. I
Smidge
don't.
morbid, but I'm with you.
Yeah.
My dad said recently he celebrated his 70th birthday last year.
Wow.
And something came up. I forget what it was. Someone passed away at 81 or something. And Dad was like, "Oh, I won't see that."
Yeah.
And my mom was like, "Don't say that."
I know. My dad was like, when he was dying, he just wanted to get to his birthday at 79. He's like, I just want to make it 79. And he did. And then he passed away 7 days later, I think. But it was fun. It's funny how it changes, though, because like right now, I'm like, I don't want to be 80. But like if I'm in good health at 70, then I'd probably be like, yeah, I want to be 80. Like I remember my dad used to always say, I don't want to live where I'm a burden to people and where I have to be taken care of and where I just want to be done earlier. He's like, I would do it like the Eskimos do, just walk out. Like the Eskimos, it's like a whole thing in their history. Like the older people, when they were a burden to society, would walk off into the snow kind of thing. He's like, that's what I want to do. But like he fought to the end, and so you never know who you're going to be till you're in that situation. And that's why people try to judge people's end of life stuff, or they try to judge people's different going through like the loss of a child or a spouse or whatever, and you try to judge it and sit in judgment of it, but you have no idea how you're going to react till you are in those big situations.
I don't think you can wrap your head around dying until, which is a good thing we're doing this post birthdays, but I don't think you can wrap your head around it because, you may go through a day and like you have a cold, you have a stomach ache, you have something even, I think the closest you can get are probably people who do have terrible, terrible health issues. Where, like, you're told like this could be a life-threatening. That's as close as you can get. Otherwise, my bad tummy ache on a certain day, that's just all it is. There's no way to wrap your head around just not existing.
We have a friend that's been dealing with a chronic illness for 8 years that I was thinking about him this morning on my way in, and I'm like, I don't know how he's done it because my shoulders hurt, and I'm like, and I would whine about that, and it's like I'm just tired of it. I'm sick of it. But to like go through what he's gone through medically for 8 years, I don't know how he's done it. Honestly. Yeah. But then I guess when you're in it,
you just do it.
You just do it. You just there is that wonderful thing about our lives until you. And I mean, there are people that are just. They're hurt, they're broken in different ways, and they're done, And again, I try not to judge that because you can't walk in someone else's brain.
Yeah, it's hard. It's
But there is that thing for most of us most of the time that when you are put in that situation, you value life and you choose life and you choose to survive. You listen to all these stories of people's survivals, like I've been attacked by bears that Betty loves, like those stories.
Another podcast.
Yeah, like that's but that person chose to survive, and so you don't know how you're going to react. Kind of like that fight or flight thing. Like when you're put into a situation, you're either going to fight or you're going to run, and like you don't know who you are.
There isn't a third option that
there isn't,
give in.
There is actually.
Fight, flight, or
freeze.
Giggle.
Oh,
is there?
Freeze.
Oh.
It makes sense.
That does make sense.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, there's
that
three
does
options.
make sense. I think all my years I've never heard the freeze thing, but that makes sense. I think I would freeze for a hot second, be like, "Gah!" and then I would fight. I think that's kind of how I'm wired. But then running seems fun too.
Yeah, it just depends. It depends. Like if you can get away, if it's a bear attack and you can get away, I
have seen enough in my life of little times that I know I should have been a legit first responder because I legit will run to something. Like I don't run away. Like when there's something going on, I want to be in the middle of it. When it's a crazy moment, like I always want to be in the middle of it. So I think I would have been a good first responder, except for the problem solving. Because if it's outside
and the attention, the attention span,
if I
had, I think sometimes in some ways you would have been a good first responder. In other ways, like I think about how you would probably make the situation worse by trying to help. When I think about when we did the breakout room, I
was bad at that.
Yeah, and you found a crowbar that they actually put to the side that wasn't meant for anything.
That was their fault. They left it in there.
Swinging it in the air.
I was trying.
And the employee had to get on the loudspeaker and say, "Sir, put the crowbar down. That's
not my fault.
Not for breaking out of that room.
Not my fault."
And that is Wally. I think you would get tunnel vision.
That's my problem.
And you would this is what we got to fix. And they're like, no, there's a person in the other room. Yeah.
I'll see one solution and I will try to make the scenario fit into that solution versus being pliable and malleable to go, okay, there might be more solutions. Let's do a solution that fits the scenario versus the other way. That would definitely be a problem for me as a first responder. Now, I would be
one
the
of
most
many.
I would be the most honest first responder that you had. Like, sir, you just rescued that entire family and their cat and their dog and their hamster from that burning building. How does it feel to be a hero? And then everyone goes, I'm not really a hero. I don't like that term. I'd be like, pretty darn good. Feels pretty good. There's times where I didn't think I was going to make it out, but like being a hero, not everybody can do this. I do it every day. Like I would be the guy that you're like, I respect that guy.
I picture you as Fire Marshal Bill.
Yeah. That's kind of true too. All right. Well, with that, let's get on out of here. We got Andy Irwin coming in to talk about his new movie, Unbreakable Boy. We're going to do a podcast with that. that we'll have on later this week. And hopefully he has good news about I Can Only Imagine 2 and me starring in it again.
Are you not confirmed for that yet?
I'm not confirmed for that. I've done 3 auditions for different roles.
Here and tell you no.
I'm hoping that this is like he's going
to... #desperate.
I know. I'm hoping that he's going to be in and like it's going to be a surprise. Maybe there'll be a marching band or something. I don't know. When he announces that I will be in there with Milo Ventimiglia.
Yep.
Yeah, the guy from This Is Us is in the movie. The original guy that played Bart is in the movie. Trace Adkins, some of my co-stars from the first one. And so hopefully, fingers crossed.
You were on there for 3 seconds.
Yeah. Best 3 seconds of the thing. Last words of the movie. I mean, I can't.
You
can't.
act like you were the main
character. I closed it.
You have such main character energy.
Yeah.
It's sad.
It's like everybody else basically opened up for me in that movie because I got to bring it home and close it with the last line. Like, you don't get that off. They don't really give that to B-rate actors.
Obviously they do.
No, they do not.
They give it to C, D, E, and F actors.
You give that to your guy that's your go-to. That's your cleanup hitter. That's the guy you go to. That's the guy you want to give the ball to in a clutch situation.
This is like a preview of the same conversation we're going to have here in like 40 minutes.
Absolutely it is. All right, that's going to do it. Thanks for being a potty.
Growing up in poverty has never been easy for children, but with the added challenges of the pandemic, conflict, and natural disasters, families around the world are facing an unprecedented food crisis. Unfortunately, those who are already hungry are now even more desperate. But by sponsoring a child through compassion, you can help provide life-sustaining essentials such as food and clean water. And with your compassionate support, that child can not only survive, but also flourish. You can find out how and choose a child to sponsor when you click on the compassion banner at wayfm.com.